Today's guest at Exit 425 is a retired director at Toronto Hydro, but has equipped a lot of young women to head off to NCAA and U Sport hockey programs, along with several who have gone to national teams. He is still tied in with Hockey Canada, but joins us as the coach of the U22 Elite, or Junior Girls Coach, in Whitby. U22 Elite is the preeminent level of girls minor hockey in Ontario. This league involves teams from Windsor to Ottawa, and young women from this league go to NCAA and U Sport teams, national U18 teams, and there are always several grads on the national team. There are only 2 teams in Durham, both highly successful franchises. In Gary's most recent year of coaching U22, the young women on his team represented over $2 million worth of scholarships and several national championships and an Ivy League education as they graduated from junior hockey. Pretty amazing. Gary joins us today on the eve of a new hockey season with 2 exhibition games this weekend. Gary Soper, welcome, and thanks for joining me here at Exit 425.
Thanks very much, Steve, for having me. I appreciate it.
Gary, you're beginning again with the Whitby Wolves U22 Elite program, at one time called the PWHL. Can you tell us about your background in elite women's hockey over the years?
Yeah, well, really, it stemmed back probably, in early 2006, 2007. I moved from the male game where I coached for 10 years or so, and I was named the head coach of the Whitby Pee Wee AA team before it was U13 and U15, et cetera. And basically, I coached different levels, AA, single A, all the way up through to midget AA. And then, really, before I went to Hockey Canada as a regional scout, my final 4 years, from 2010 to 2014, was with the Whitby Junior Wolves under it was the Provincial Women's Hockey League, the PWHL, now known as the Women's Professional League. But my tenure there for 4 years, we had some great teams, some great players, great coaching staff. We were lucky enough to win back-to-back Alumni Cup championships, and we had a lot of success, and it was a real high performance, real good program for girls wanting to take the next step and move to the next level. With that being said, I was fortunate enough also to coach with Team Ontario in the national championships and in the Canada Winter Games, and it was a great experience again for high level, high performance hockey, and understanding the expectations of the athlete at that level, and it was a great building block in my skills as a high performance coach.
You have recruited or attracted some incredibly talented young women to your programs over the years. When you have such talented and skilled players, do you even bother with skills in practice, or is it all team tactics?
That's a great question, and I think the fallacy is as you move up into the higher levels in the older age groups, the technical side of the game is less stressed, and the coaching triangle kind of tends to show that with 85 to 80% tactical work and 10 to 20% on skill development. But the game, Steve, has changed so much. And when I say that, just the technical side of it and the skating part of it, and the dynamic work that is done with edges and agility. You see a lot of teams and a lot of high performance athletes using skill development coaches, and the game has evolved here in the last 5 to 10 years. You watch a guy like Connor McDavid or Marie-Philippe Poulin, and just their ability to skate and to handle the puck and to shoot the puck. It's really a work in progress, and you need to still work on those skills, stress the importance of it. But as everybody knows, most of these girls can execute at that level, but there's still a refinement to take the game to a next level when it comes to the tactical skills or the technical skills of the game.
What is the number one thing players need to do to improve their chances of playing top-level women's hockey? And maybe some others just to throw them in there that would also help.
Yeah, you have to be able, the first thing, you have to be able to skate the game. And at a high level, at a high performance level, when I was with Hockey Canada, the first thing they looked at was the ability to skate. With speed, with power, using your edges, balance, being able to battle on the puck. It's definitely a real high, evaluation, criteria when you're looking at a player at a high level. When you look at the other parts of the game, you can't underestimate things like hockey IQ, hockey intelligence. That is a big part of the game as well. And you have to know where to be. You have to anticipate. You have to read and act, not read and react, because sometimes that's too late. You have to be able to understand where the puck's going, where the puck is going to be sent to from as a defender. So it is very important to have good hockey IQ and understand the game and be a smart person that can continue to learn the game at all different levels, because that's the expectations really as you go up to the higher performance level.
That's really interesting, the idea of continuing to learn the game and being able to do that. So not just stuck in a rut that maybe you learned at age 13 or something, but actually carrying on. I was just talking with that about with one of our local coaches here just moments ago about how some of her players are, talking about how, certain coaches taught them how to do this or not to do that. And they're that the damage from that mindset is carrying on right now.
Yeah, that's the one thing that that I do find when I've coached over the years is you almost have to start from ground zero and explain certain concepts, certain terms, terminology, because in Canada and in Ontario and in the GTA Durham region, there's so many hockey coaches. And the knowledge base, Steve, is very much different from coach to coach. So, you can't make assumptions on what a player knows coming from another organization or another team. So it's always good to make sure everybody's on the same page. You start from scratch and make sure they have an understanding. And my philosophy and my point is there's never a bad question, because you think you may be the only one in the room that doesn't understand or doesn't know. There's probably somebody else that is thinking the same thing. So I'd rather everybody be on the same page and ask those questions early on and understand versus when we're in a playoff game and we're not knowing what to do when we're playing a certain system or trying to execute a certain game.
How can players gain the attention of the U22 elite coaches in Durham or anywhere in the elite U22 league?
Well, a lot of it is, coaches and elite level teams are out doing their homework. They're out scouting games, they're watching games, they hear of players through the hockey community. The hockey world is a small world. And you hear a lot of different things. You go out and watch players, but there's something to be said for self promotion and going out and communicating and making yourself known out there through various communication paths, right? Social media, video, marketing yourself just like you would in your real life and in your profession, whatever that may be, right? Updating your resume, so to speak, having a portfolio and being able to speak to your skill sets and what you bring to the team. And obviously you have to perform at a high level for coaches to notice you. And the other important thing too, Steve, is to remember that not only do you have to be a good player, you have to be a good person, and that's a key point of it. And if you live your life right and you have your attention to detail and time management and do things the right way with your schoolwork, etc., that's going to lead to probably a lot of success what you do athletically. So it's very important that not only are you're bringing in a good player, but you're bringing in a good person. And as a coach, I always do my homework in that, so it's vital.
Certainly at the higher levels, you spend as much or more time off the ice doing things as you are actually on the ice. So to be more than just a good player on the ice is really quite important, because you could really be the cancer in the room, and nobody wants that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's how you conduct yourself, off the ice. You're representing not only yourself and your family, your organization, your team, but again, there's so many important points that you have to be aware of in the days now of social media and video. You have to be aware and recognize that it, the smallest little thing you may think isn't important, but people are doing their homework, and when NCAA schools are investing money in players, they want to make sure that they're getting their value and they're getting a good person and doing the right thing away from the rink and at the rink, and whether that's training, making sure they're keeping up their school or their marks, the importance of academics, etc. It's the total package. That's what they're looking for. And the same applies for Hockey Canada. It's called the gold medal standard. It's being a good person off the ice and doing the right things away from the rink, but also being a top level athlete and performing when you're on the ice.
So going back to the actual practical idea of reaching out or contacting coaches to let them know that you're interested in playing at the U22 elite level. So people shouldn't be shy. Players shouldn't be shy about sending you an email or trying to give you a phone call. Somehow reaching out like that to let you know that they're interested in playing. Um,
Yeah,
After you've gone to watch, are you ever asked for feedback about how that player is doing and maybe what they need to work on?
yeah. Actually, the other night I was asked for feedback right after a skate. So it's interesting. Sometimes they want instant feedback, and oftentimes you have to think about how they perform that night, and you want to balance the positives with some of the opportunities for improvement, right? So it's important to keep that in mind. And yeah, there are always the player that is, to me, that's a key question. What can I do to get better? What are the things that you see to make me a better player? And the one thing I always tell my players, even in my roster and throughout the years, is know your strengths as a player, demonstrate those strengths, and play to those strengths. And things that you don't do well, work at them in practice, but don't try to be a player that you're not in a game situation. If you're a shooter, shoot the puck. Don't try to overhandle the puck. You know what I mean? And you got to be aware of that stuff, right?
The reason why a lot of players try or choose to play in the elite U22 is to move on to a higher level of hockey, whether that's U Sport, NCAA, whether it's D1 or D3. They're looking for some other opportunity. Um, how do you promote your players to the colleges and universities?
Obviously, I have a network and relationships that I built when I coached in the PWHL 10 years ago, and also with my 7, 8 year tenure with Hockey Canada. So, reaching out on behalf of an athlete and speaking on their behalf is something that I do, and I communicate that to my players. But there is an understanding that the player is also responsible to communicate and reach out and to find out, about the academics of the school. Do they offer the correct programs? Because it's not always about the athletic or hockey side of it. Is will I get a good education at this institution? Will it help me, the day that I ultimately, stop playing hockey and move on to my regular life, right? So, um, promotion to coaches, speaking on their behalf. And also too, it's important, once players are committed and they're tied into a school. I'm also about following up with coaches to make sure that, I'm doing the right things to help them progress for their future coach. And we have consistent feedback with them on, things they can get better on and work on to get them prepared for a youth sport team or an NCAA team. Again, because I want to make that athlete successful at the next level, and whatever I can do at the OWHK U22 elite level, that's my job.
With the new PWHL and obviously a very successful launch to this professional women's hockey, and apparently soon we're going to be finding out the names of each of the teams.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting. Will the U22 Elite continue to be the principal pathway for pro hockey for women?
It is really, when you look at, geographics in Ontario and for the most part, I would even go out on the limb and say across Canada, the OWAC Elite 22 is the premier path for athletes then to take it to the next level through the NCAA or youth sport. And you'll find that, if they are, born in Ontario and live and play in Ontario, they have found their way either through the old PWHL, the Provincial Women's Hockey League, or have played through the OWHA Elite 22. There are prep schools out there. There are other schools, obviously, south of the border that produce good hockey players. But when it comes to Canada, you look at the top teams that come out of that league. They are the top leagues, or the top teams in North America. So you could say it's the Premier League ultimately to lead to a professional hockey career.
That's exciting for the U22 Elite League. It's just going to build excitement for that entire league.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched games this year and from the past few years with the league prior to, and you recognize a lot of the names that there's some kids that I coached. There was players that we used to play against, and it is what it is when it comes to elite level hockey in Ontario. It's for the former PWHL, and now it's the OWHA Elite 22, and the girls you're seeing this year, last year, that are the high level players, the high performers, you'll see them one day in the professional league.
What are some things a young player can do? It's back to school time, and people are rethinking about all their programming and thinking about courses, and students are seeking out their guidance counselors and making rapid changes to things. What are some things that a young player can do as they approach high school to catch the attention of a college program? And is the U22 Elite program the only way to the NCAA U Sports Hockey?
Like I said, before, there is other paths. You do have athletes that play U18 AA and that. Those players can find themselves, making a youth sport roster in Canada. A few make, NCAA, D3, and it's the odd D1 school. So there is other paths to get there. I think, again, we have to keep in mind too, we have to keep the focus being on academics. It's important to make sure that, whether it's Canada or the United States, the program has to be there for what you want to do academically. If they're not offering what you want, you can play 4 years of hockey, then you find yourself, wondering, what am I doing next, right? So you got to keep that in your mind. Ultimately, that's what you want. And, I think it's important that the player, promotes yourself, understands that the little things that they do can make the difference between, getting a scholarship and not getting a scholarship. And it comes down to things like, training, making sure you're keeping your time management with your schoolwork, making sure that, you're not getting behind in certain things when it comes to, academic making sure you're eating properly, getting your rest. This time of year is a crazy time of year. The first week of school, as a coach historically, the practices aren't always the best because there's a lot going on. They're adjusting back to school. Their timeline's a little different. They're getting up earlier and they have a longer day. So, as coaches, we have to keep that in mind. We have to respect that and understand that. And that's just part of it. Over the years, I've seen it. So, but again, understanding that there's a lot of good hockey players out there, and the difference makers are those things that you can control the controllable that you can, right? Your diet, the way you live your life off the ice, the way you can push yourself to get better, training off ice, working hard in the gym, and trying to make yourself better every day, every practice. Don't be afraid to fail, right? In practice, do things and get yourself out of the comfort zone.
I recall hearing from you once at the end of a tryout season, encouraging your players to put their skates away for a little while. What are your thoughts on spring and summer hockey and the idea that seems to have encroached into hockey of endless programming?
Yeah, we have to produce athletes. We don't need to have young athletes playing hockey 12 months a year. The unfortunate thing about this is that we say that, but we don't promote that because we have summer camps, we have prospect tournaments, we have development camps. So we have to bite the bullet here and stop talking out of both sides of our mouth sometimes and put the skates away and then have that love of opening up the bag in September when you've been away for 3 months and play your soccer, play your baseball, play your lacrosse. Do something different where you're driven to do the right thing and be active and ready to go in the fall. The thing is, and what I tell my players too as they get older, the most important work you do in the off season is not being on the ice. It's being in the gym, getting stronger, more powerful, and you don't do that on the ice. You can be on the ice 5 days a week. In the summer, you're not going to get any quicker. You're not going to get any faster. You're not going to get any stronger. The way you do that is off ice through doing the right things in the gym with your trainer or whoever it may be.
That off ice training is so important. I've seen studies where they evaluated the fitness of players through a season with the absence of off ice training. Obviously, some time ago, because I think that just never happens anymore. But players' fitness actually declines even with practices and games over the course of a season in the absence of that off ice training. So,
Yeah.
summer off ice training is really critical.
Yeah, and when you're doing things the right way off ice in the summer, and if I'm not saying you can skate once a week. You don't need to be on 5 days a week or anything like that. But if you skate and you're doing the right things, you're gonna feel sore. You may feel slower. You may feel like you're not as fast. But that's you putting the work in the gym, and that's why you're feeling that way. But that'll help you, in December and January, kind of quote the dog days of winter where you have to fight to get through everything, right? When it gets difficult.
Right. A practical thing in running a team. How do you pick your captains? And is the captain always the best player on the team?
Yeah, well, you hear a lot about that, and I think it's important. And what we just did is we had a vote. I think you have to get a feel of the peers in the room and the teammates to get an idea of who's a leader off the ice and who's saying the right things. Because and the one thing as a male coach in a female game, I don't have the ability to be in the room all the time. I don't get the feel of what's going on, the pulse of the room. That's why I rely on my female coaches and trainers to help me with that. But it's vital that the players respect their leadership group, and it is the decision has to ultimately, the leadership the leadership group, the selectors and the players, it's run by the coaching staff. The coaching staff has to agree to what's been voted on. And for the most part, the alignment's pretty good. The alignment works out to what, the vote will tell you. And, over the years, I've seen it happen where the coaches are pretty much all in agreement on what the 17 or 18 or 20 players, are voting. And, so there's a lot of, in this year, we have a leadership group, and the 4 players, they received a lot of the votes. So it was pretty much unanimous, which is a good thing. And they're obvious. The 4 were obvious leaders in my eyes. And there's other kids that are leaders too, but again, we can't put 7, 8 letters on everybody's shirt for that, So, and it
But
doesn't have to be the best player, Steve.
sometimes they're the best leader, right? They're the one who just knows how to get things out of other people.
Yeah, and that's the way I say. I used to explain to some of my players, you may not be the best shooter or the best goal scorer, but off ice, in an agility test, you're the quickest up there. So you can lead, and you can demonstrate to your teammates how valuable you are that way, right? So not necessarily does it mean you can be good at something and somebody else could be not quite as good. So there's always avenues or opportunities for a player in your team to be valued and to be highlighted, for
sure. Regular home games, or do you have like regular nights for games or days for games? And is there a cost to attend? Because we had a conversation before we started recording about practice this week, and some players that were there and the families had no idea about what this U22 elite hockey was like and how good it was. So I was able to share with them just when some games are coming up, but are there regular nights, and where could people find out about when the games are?
So we have our website at wgha.org and our Junior Wolves link. But our home games are Saturday evening at 6 p.m. at Iroquois Pad 1, and Sundays at Iroquois Pad 1 in Whitby at 3 p.m. They are listed on our website. We do have an Instagram page and a Facebook page that people can follow as well. But those are predominantly our home nights, home days, our home dates. And we're not there every Saturday and Sunday. The cost is free. It's a great opportunity for young families that have younger children, younger females aspiring to play at a high level, to see what it's all about. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people out there that don't know much about the female game. If you come and watch, you will be shocked on how good these players are. You will, because most of them, when they go and play in the beer leagues and men's leagues, they're better than most of the males on the ice. And hey, Steve, from experience with your own daughters, she can tell you that.
Well, and I've seen it, and it's great fun to watch. So
it's pretty good. Yeah, because people don't understand how good these players are.
Gary, it's pretty evident that you enjoy this whole coaching thing. What is the best part of coaching for you?
The best part of coaching for me is passing on my hockey knowledge. And the thing that is rewarding to me is, now I see, great hockey players that had a lot of success becoming great individuals, becoming teachers, becoming lawyers, becoming business people, successful in life. And, because of the great sport of hockey and the team environment and the willingness to work together, because in life, when you're in your job, you don't do things a lot on your own. You work as a team, you work as a group in achieving goals and objectives. It's part of life, and seeing these high performance athletes come through and having a great experience with the game of hockey, and then now having being successful in their daily lives, that's really rewarding to me. And that's the whole purpose of it. And for them to keep playing, give back, to continue coaching, like a lot of the girls do, and to give back their knowledge on what they've learned is great. And we have a lot of great young female coaches coming up through the ranks, and they're the future of the game. They are the future of the game. They've been there, done that, and they're passing it on. And it's wonderful to see in the dressing rooms how the girls really respect that, and it's great. So that's kind of what I get out of it, to be honest with you, Steve.
That's awesome. Gary, thanks for taking the time to talk with me today, and we will definitely see you at the rink.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you and maybe find out more?
Yeah.
You've touched on that website already, but maybe to
Yeah.
find out more about the
They can send me
U22 Elite.
Yeah, they can send me an email. I'm at 2hockeyguy@bell.net. Players are starting to contact me already for the upcoming next season, and it gives me an opportunity to get out and see these athletes and to evaluate and to provide them feedback, and then we go from there with the process throughout the year. So there's lots of hockey for me to coach, but there's also lots of hockey for me to evaluate and assess and to give feedback to players that are looking for that. They can contact me through the website and my Instagram page, etc. So there's lots of opportunity.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Exit 425. Please like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube. Our mission is to provide substantial information and education that goes where you want, because it's where we live. Exit 425 is a production of Studio 38 Audio, copyright 2024. My name is Steve Ray. If you have any questions or would like more information about Exit 425, join our Exit 425 Facebook group, like the Facebook page, check out Instagram, Medium, LinkedIn, X, and TikTok, or email me at exit425401@gmail.com. Exit 425. It's where we live.